I'm just wondering what you're doing.
I've just explained to one of the civic enforcement officers I'm filming.
What are you filming?
Anything I can see from public.
Right, and is there a reason behind that?
It's for a story.
Right, okay. Can I take your details, please?
What would you like my details for?
Because obviously in the interests of public safety and everything like that, when somebody is out filming and having a look around public buildings,
right,
we have a duty of care,
right,
to check you out.
What, a duty of care to whom?
To the general public.
I'm part of the general public?
Yes.
I don't have to give you my details then?
Right, I can just get other people.
Well, other people, I'm still not obliged to give you my details.
I'm asking because at the moment, I don't know whether you are committing any criminal offences in this area.
I'm certainly not.
This gentleman is out filming and is pointing up, looking at all the cameras, and obviously in light of...
Identify the cameras up there?
In light of...
I'm not filming that. I'm filming up there. I was filming up there when this lady approached.
It starts simple, just a man with a camera standing in public, no aggression, no suspicion, just filming what anyone can see. But within moments, the tone shifts, questions begin to build around his presence and intentions. He stays calm and composed, reminding them that this is a public space and no permission is required. Yet that answer does not satisfy them. The situation turns toward claims of public safety, a phrase that sounds serious, but feels misplaced because holding a camera is not a crime, and asking for personal details without clear cause begins to blur the line. This moment is no longer about safety. It becomes about control. And in situations like this, understanding your rights is often the only thing that keeps that line from being crossed.
What's the issue?
There isn't an issue.
I'm just wondering why he's filming public buildings.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly entitled to film anything I can. Hang on, wait a minute. I'm perfectly entitled to film anything I can see from a public place, including council buildings that are owned by the public.
Okay, we have concerns about public safety.
And your concerns are?
We don't know who you are and
That's
what
not a concern.
links it is.
It isn't.
In the day and age that we are in.
Are you accusing me of being a terrorist?
I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but
do you have reasonable suspicion to believe that I'm up to anything other than?
I don't know what you're up to.
Go on to Google filming in public. It'll and even legislation.
Don't tell me what I need to do.
Right. Well, don't tell me that I need to give my details when I know that I don't.
I'd like you to move away from this area, please. Otherwise,
you need a section 60. You need to remove somebody from an area without probable cause. You need a section 60.
Well, I'm concerned for public safety and what you are doing in this area.
Well, I've told you what I'm doing in this area.
Well, you need to move away from here now.
The most revealing moment comes when it is admitted that there is no clear rule being broken, and that alone says everything, because without a known offense, there is no real reason to demand personal details, and people cannot be treated like suspects based on uncertainty alone. He stands firm, calmly explaining that filming in public is completely legal, including buildings owned by the public, yet the response shifts again toward vague concerns about safety and risk without any evidence to support. Yet the conversation circles without direction, built on assumptions rather than facts, and when another officer arrives, the pressure increases instead of easing, as both lean further into suspicion, not because of anything proven, but simply because his actions do not fit their expectations. And in that moment, the situation becomes less about law and more about perception and control.
I'll move to the other side of the road, if that's all right.
You've obviously got nothing else better to do with your time, have you?
Well, that's not your concern. What I do with my time is nobody's concern but mine.
Fair enough.
Okay. Can I ask you to identify yourself? You haven't got any numbers on your fillets?
1,000.
1,000. And name?
Sarah Bainbridge.
And yours?
2629. You're also on body cam.
Yeah, that's fine. And you're based here?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, I'm based out of Darlington.
Right, okay, excellent. Hello there.
Oh, yeah, you're all
right.
Hello.
This gentleman is filming. He's now refusing to give any details, and
I'm not obliged to.
I can't understand why he's out filming buildings, council buildings, refusing to give any details in light of the incidents that we're having around the area.
And those incidents, whatever they may be, no concern of mine, nothing to do with me.
But I don't know who you are, and I can't check you out.
Well, you don't need to.
Yes, I do, because I have a duty of care to the
I'll tell you what it is, mate. It's anti-terrorism.
There's no terrorist threat at the moment.
But I don't know who you are.
What do you mean there's no terrorist threat? At the moment, we're still on high.
Her focus shifts again back to identity, repeating that she does not know who he is, but not recognizing someone is not a valid reason to demand their details. And people are not required to identify themselves just because an officer feels uncertain or unfamiliar. She leans into general safety concerns, hinting at risks without linking him to anything specific. Yet broad fears do not turn legal behavior into suspicion without facts or evidence. Those claims hold no real weight. He stays composed, choosing to step away rather than escalate, while calmly asserting that how he spends his time is his choice. There's even as the questioning continues, he holds his ground, and in that moment the interaction reveals something deeper, not a threat, not a crime, but a growing tension between authority and individual rights, where uncertainty is used to justify control, but knowledge is what keeps that balance in check.
There's no terrorist threat at the moment, and nor has there been over the past 5 years, towards any public buildings.
That's a lie, because there was one yesterday actually.
Was there? Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well,
where was
there
that?
you go.
So where was
we
that?
don't know.
So here.
Yes, it was actually.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one to the council offices as well.
Right. That's nothing to do with me.
That's
no
why
concern of
you've
mine.
been
How do we know
Well,
that?
Well,
It's just
were
my
they stood
details.
outside with a mobile phone?
Look, we're not getting into this.
Well-
I am now asking you to leave the area because I feel that you,
On what grounds?
because you are alarming the public.
No. Which section of the law? You give me the section of the law, I'll quite happily move.
You just need.
Beg your pardon? I'm just a...
I never said one word.
You liar.
It's worth filming you as well.
That's fine. It's public.
Just stand here
Perfectly
until you
okay.
move out of the
It's
way.
okay, perfectly okay to film in public, which is what I was explaining to your colleague.
You gave me your details and I could
Right. So
be happy that there is nothing
my details.
untoward.
My details won't give you any other information.
I would like to check you out so that I am happy that I can leave you unattended on the side of the road.
The justifications shift again, this time toward duty of care and even anti-terrorism. Yet there is still no clear threat, no evidence, and no direct link to any wrongdoing. The tone begins to slip when frustration replaces professionalism, turning what should be a calm interaction into something more personal. Vague references to incidents in the area are used to build suspicion, but location alone does not make someone a suspect, and being present with a camera does not connect anyone to crime. As the situation escalates, the use of serious labels without solid grounds only adds pressure and confusion, pushing the encounter further away from fairness. He remains steady, asking for the legal basis behind the demand, and that question changes everything, because without a clear law to stand on, authority begins to lose its footing, and what remains is uncertainty trying to justify control.
No, you've got no actual reason other than curiosity as to why I'm filming to be stood here
I want
asking.
to know who you are to make sure.
I don't have to identify myself, and you're well aware of that. I know the law just as much
Very
as you.
shortly, I will to prevent a breach of the peace.
You can't prevent a breach of the peace
can prevent
if
a breach.
none was going to take place. I'm not breaching anybody's peace.
I have colleagues and members of the council staff who are very concerned about why you are out here filming in light of the incident
I'm
yesterday.
filming a story. I'm not filming in light of those incidents.
Well,
Those incidents
until
weren't
I
even
can-
known to me until
I
you made
can
them aware.
Prove or negate either way. All I want is your details to make sure that no members of the public are a threat
They're
by
not.
you. Well,
My details wouldn't give you any more information about that.
people tell me every day
Well,
how good they are.
I'm not saying I'm not saying. Hang on, I'm not saying I'm good. What I'm saying, I'm not denying either way.
Everybody says all the time with interactions with the police, it wasn't me. I'm no threat.
That's because your interaction, instead of accepting what I'm doing is perfectly legal.
The exchange starts to unravel as emotions creep in and professionalism fades, replaced by sharper remarks and visible frustration. Yet even in that moment, the core issue remains unchanged. Filming in public is lawful, and no amount of discomfort can turn into suspicion. He stays steady, pointing out the lack of real justification, while their responses begin to shift, avoiding direct questions and leaning on vague concerns about how others might feel rather than what is actually happening. The reasoning becomes less about rules and more about personal reassurance, wanting details simply to feel comfortable leaving the scene. But decisions in situations like this are not meant to be based on feelings. They require facts, clarity, and lawful grounds. And as those foundations continue to weaken, the entire interaction begins to show cracks, where authority struggles to hold its ground against calm and informed resistance.
Is to cite laws that don't exist. Say that
cited a law that doesn't
you
exist.
told me that you were going to move me. You can't move me without that section, without the powers under a section.
I have reasonable grounds to believe you.
If you're asking me to move,
Yes.
right, and you can state me a section of the law, I'll move quite happily. that's a perfectly reasonable request.
It's fine because we've got supervision
do you
coming in.
understand what the current level of threat at the moment?
Right, if there has been,
What evident means, I'm sure you do. You see that intelligence.
if there has been a threat yesterday of some sort, then yes, I can understand.
Right. So now you understand.
But I wasn't aware of that until you told me.
Right.
And
So now that's why we need your details.
well, you don't need my details.
Yes, we do.
So do you have the details whoever it was who you spoke to yesterday?
You know what's going to happen, right? I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to end up getting arrested.
For what?
Right? Listen,
For
we're
what?
speaking to our supervision at the moment, okay? Based on the current threat levels and the incident that happened
And now
yesterday,
we'll get an
that
order out.
ended up getting seized, okay, under the terrorism laws.
As the exchange continues, the reasoning grows weaker and the pressure grows stronger. She introduces the idea of preventing a breach of the peace despite there being no signs of conflict, no raised voices, and no immediate risk, turning a power meant for real threats into something based on discomfort and possibility. Concerns from staff are used to justify the interaction, but concern alone is not evidence, and unease does not transform legal activity into suspicion. He remains calm, grounded in facts, pointing out that each situation must be judged on what is actually happening, not on past assumptions or general mistrust. As the conversation tightens, it shifts toward authority, without clarity, demands, without legal backing. And finally, the suggestion of arrest emerges not from action, but from refusal. And in that moment, the line between enforcement and overreach becomes impossible to ignore.
Okay?
Your body cameras will also be made public knowledge to me, and I'll use them.
That's fine. I want to know.
I just
we wanna
can't
know
see
who
why
you
you're
are.
being
Well,
so obstructive.
I'm not being obstructive at all.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
not
are.
obliged. No, there's no obstruction because I'm not obliged by law to give you
that's
unless
fine, you can fight that in court then.
unless you reasonably assume that I don't need to because it wouldn't go to court.
Well, you're being
You'd be looking at a lawsuit.
You're being obstructive. I don't care.
I'm not being obstructive at all.
Okay.
Refusing to give my details when being asked is not an
Listen,
obstruction.
You've asked for our details, okay?
Because I'm as a member of the public, and you've been civil servant, you are legally obliged to give me those details upon request.
You've obviously got nothing else better to do.
Well, but that's my concern, not yours.
Yeah.
If I was stood on the other side of the road without a camera, you wouldn't have approached me. It's purely because I'm filming. Filming is a perfectly legal activity.
Because we don't know why you are filming.
But I've told you why I'm filming, for a story.
A story for what?
For YouTube, for my blog.
Right, so who are you?
I don't have to identify myself. And you're well aware of the law regarding identification, stop and search powers and procedures.
The situation reaches a critical point as authority is pushed without clear foundation. She repeats that she has reasonable grounds, yet when asked to name the law, there's no answer, no section, no clarity, just silence. And that silence reveals everything because real authority does not hesitate to explain itself. As the exchange continues, frustration takes over, and the tone sharpens, shifting from uncertainty to threats of arrest and even seizure under serious laws without any new evidence or change. In behavior, the pressure builds not from facts, but from impatience. He remains composed, holding to the same simple truth that filming in public is legal and requires no justification, while the argument against him continues to weaken, turning into repetition without substance. And in that moment, it becomes clear this is no longer about enforcing the law, but about forcing compliance when the law itself cannot support the demand.
Fine. At the moment, my colleagues are on to senior officers so that we can have a power of stop and search to get more details.
Good luck with that. You're detaining me.
I'm not detaining you.
Oh, so you just said to me I'm not going anywhere at the minute.
Listen, where do you intend to go next? Because I'm just going to follow you, right?
That's no concern of yours.
Right, well listen, I'm just going to follow you because we need to speak to you about what you're doing.
You can follow me wherever you like,
fine,
but don't tell me that I'm not going anywhere
All right.
because that's a threat of detainment unlawfully.
Right, listen.
Okay.
Would you like to come back round to the police station
I don't
while
need
we
to.
speak to you?
No, I don't need to.
You don't need
No.
to. Right, where are you going now?
I'm not telling you.
I'm going to follow you then, okay?
You follow me.
Okay.
This is harassment. Yeah, so anyway, I went in to see him and basically he fobbed me off back to his offices most of the way. He did say that they would be doing some training over sort of data protection and dealing with photographers. Whether they did or not, I don't know. I didn't take it any further. I wasn't after them for money. It's not why I do this. It's just to show them as the bullies that they were, and hopefully they'll learn the lesson.
The exchange tightens as the same question is repeated again and again, searching for an identity that he is not required to give. He calmly explains his purpose, yet that answer is brushed aside, and replace with pressure telling him to take it to court reveals uncertainty, not confidence. Because if the position were strong, it would be clear in the moment, not defer to later, as frustration builds, a tone shifts further, slipping from professionalism into emotion, and when indifference is openly expressed, it signals a loss of balance between authority and judgment. Attempts are made to blur the rules, suggesting that his request for their details creates an obligation on him. But the two are not equal, and that confusion only deepens the situation. As they consider escalating through stop and search, or even following him, the interaction drifts further from clarity and closer to control, where persistence replaces lawful reasoning, and pressure becomes the only tool left.